My name is Jennifer Lawlor. I'm a lifelong Connecticut resident. I'm a part of the Everytown for Gun Safety Fellowship Program. And most importantly, I am the mother of a murdered child. I am testifying today in favor of HB 6355, as I believe its update will save many lives. On December 8th, 2018, my 25-year-old daughter, Emily Todd, was shot and killed by a predator she'd met 18 days prior. It was not long after they met that she knew this man was not what he'd been presenting himself to be. On November 30th, she tried ending the relationship. It was then that he began texting her repeatedly, stating he was going to kill himself, that he had a gun, and he had written a goodbye letter. Emily was at work, but she stepped aside and called 911, desperate to help him. When asked, Emily stated clearly she was sure, absolutely certain, that he had a gun. She reported her concerns to the dispatcher, stating, "He's going to kill me for telling anyone this," and also provided his cell phone number, information on his current location, as well as the name and location of the motel that he had recently been staying at. After a 911 call that lasted well over an hour, police action was finally taken. Shortly after the call ended, a Bridgeport police officer spotted the car Emily had described. They made phone contact and asked the driver to pull over. As they attempted to speak with him, he evaded, and a high-speed pursuit chase ensued. Minutes later, the pursuit was disengaged. Across the police radios, the on-duty sergeant stated, "If he is going to commit 42, he is going to commit 42. Disengage. We don't want any of our guys getting hurt." I want to reference the fact that 42 is the internal code used for suicide on the police scanners. Not the officers involved right then or any other members of this police department did anything to follow up on or investigate Emily's concerns. The police did not locate and take him for psychiatric assessment or into their custody for evading them. The department had his date of birth, his license plate number, the vehicle description, the knowledge that he possessed a firearm, along with a likely location where he could be found, and made no effort to locate and or apprehend him after disengaging from the vehicle pursuit on November 30th. Emily and myself both tried several times that week to call the police department for an update and got no response. Feeling very unsettled, we also both contacted our local police here in Bethel asking for their help. Our officers tried on 2 occasions to get information. No one in that department responded to the Bethel police, and 8 days later, this man murdered my daughter. I would like you to imagine what a daily horror it is for me, knowing that if the police would have apprehended Emily's murderer in the week that followed her 911 call, it is more likely than not that she would be alive today. Had the police department been as concerned for someone's human life as my daughter was, they'd have found him in possession of a gun he'd purchased in Ohio and brought across our state lines. This man, who she tried to get help for, considered her action a betrayal. He shot her at close range, putting a single bullet in the back of her skull. She was found unrecognizable, leaving me to identify my child through photos of her tattoos taken at a crime scene. Those we entrust to protect and serve failed my daughter in so many ways. She had her whole life ahead of her, and she is dead. The neglect and lack of care shown to Emily by the police has been a life-altering, and the powerlessness we have experienced as a family, both before and after her murder, is indescribable. Over the past 27 months, I have learned a great deal about Connecticut's IRPA legislation, and I believe the current policy regarding extreme risk is grossly outdated. Our tragedy has me certain that significant changes must be made to save the next young woman who will find herself in a situation she cannot control that calls to try to get help. We simply can no longer have a system that's dependent solely on the response of a 911 dispatcher and a police department as the only resource someone has when they're in a crisis. If passed in this session, HB 6355 would make several critical updates to the current verbal protections. First, it would expand eligibility of those who could petition the court for an order to include family or household members and specific medical professionals. We've already reviewed the rest of the current law, but I'm going to just finish. 2 police officers right now or a state's attorney can seek the protective order, but with the new proposal, family and household members, specified medical professionals, and a single police officer would be able to petition. Family members are often the first to recognize when their loved one's in a crisis, so it's crucial they have a way to directly petition the court to temporarily remove guns from those who could be a risk to themselves or others.
Thank you.
In this updated legislation, the definition of family or household members includes, which is what is very important to me, dating or intimate partner of the person subject to the complaint, which would have given both Emily and myself options when not taken seriously by the police. This definition can be seen on page 5, lines 132 to 133. One study shows, I'm not going to go there, we've done it. The reduction in the firearm suicides, we've already reviewed that a lot today, and I believe that they are very real. Please know that while I have had my life absolutely shattered with what happened to my daughter, I am her voice, and I am willing to and capable of hearing your thoughts and or taking your questions. There's really, there's nothing else that could be harder than this that comes my way in life. Thank you for your time.